Mission Sports TV. This is The Locker Room. I'm your host, Dave DeRocher, and I hate saying co-host, the other host, Tim Vizzy. How are you, my man?
I'm doing good, my brother. It's always good to see you. The hair is looking good today. You're looking sharp. Come on.
Yeah, I saw yours, and you're like, man, you're getting up there. Boom. I'm trying to see which one's longer, the hair or the beard.
The beard, they're almost even. The hair's got a little
almost even.
But December, I'm trying to get that with the cold weather comes a long beard.
Okay. Well, if I could grow a long beard and not look like Santa Claus, I probably would. But and actually, I don't even know what this is. I can't grow a beard. It
looks good. I like it. it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Maybe it's out of focus. Hey, anyways, so every week we have a rock star, and this week is Ruben, who I just recently met at a ribbon cutting function in Santa Ana, and immediately we just started talking, and immediately, and you'll see why in this interview, we had so much in common, and we have so many things planned to help others and to be of service and things, and I guess that's kind of the theme of what this is about. When I talk to a lot of youth, I try to encourage them to recognize the difference of an approach to any scenario, any relationship, any business opportunity, or personal. And that is, you can enter into it with a sense of purpose or with an agenda.
Right.
So the sense of purpose is about being of value, of establishing a relationship. What can I do for you? How can I help you? And like I said, be of additional value to them. If you have an agenda, it's about you. What can you do for me? And I tell people that are in sales, if you sit across from somebody and there's a dollar sign over their head, you've already lost.
Right.
Because you may get that dollar if you're a good salesperson, but they're going to feel like they got sold, and there's no relationship. There's nothing moving forward. You're not doing anything other than it was just an agenda-driven transaction versus a relationship that is forged and then pays dividends for years and years, and you don't even know where that's going to come from. And so elaborate a little bit more on Ruben's purpose-driven now life.
Right. When he was living for the world and living for himself, he reached those great heights that, people always talk about and dream about being successful. You're right. 7 figures financially.
Right.
But like he said, it's just amazing how the Lord will just take everything away in the blink of an eye, and it's at those darkest moments and those darkest times where he realized, there's something more to this, and getting back to that purpose-driven life. And when he did, he came out of it quickly. And,
and look what he's doing.
Exactly. Traveling to different countries, the different organizations that he's working with. It's just purposeful and powerful.
Speaking at the United Nations about peace and world peace. I mean,
right.
Okay, fine. 7 figures, you got some houses, you got some cars. Yeah. What is that doing for the world?
Right.
Establishing a church in Pakistan, and not Uganda, Ghana. You'll hear it, folks. I mean, the stuff he's doing now, and being a person that goes to rehabilitation centers and to people coming out of prisons to help them change their lives, and that is so much more value than any monetary income or any number of houses when you're changing people's lives and you're living for a purpose, right? And man, when you're doing that and you're doing God's work, that ain't gonna go away.
Amen.
Amen. So
God just flowing through.
Anyhow, so that's what's coming up for folks in this thing. We just hope that you're learning from our experiences. We hope Tim's learning from our experiences. We put it out there, and we put it out there for a reason, and that's what this is all about. Mission Sports is about creating an atmosphere that young people can learn, not just about sports, about competition, but about character building. About taking care of themselves and maybe hear a little bit about the Word of God, and the Spirit. And, it's just such a great purpose. So getting back to what we were just talking about, and that's what Mission Sports is about. Anyhow, we're gonna take a quick break, show you a quick video of what we're doing with some youth. We can't wait to refresh that once we can actually get back in front of the young people. But for now, take a look at this, and we'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, welcome back into the locker room. We are now joined by our guest, Ruben Mata. Ruben, I recently met you, and yes, folks, I'm going to do the introduction, and when I'm done, you're going to see why Tim normally does it. But here's my best efforts, and I'm going to do it without glasses. So Ruben started playing baseball when he was 9 and played through high school, and then he walked on and played for a number of years with the MBBL. So I believe that's the minor league baseball. He played in the U.S. and L.A., and then also in Mexico and South America, and did that for a number of years, about 3 years, and then injured his shoulder, as many of us athletes do. And then he began his professional career, worked for Toyota for 15 years, and then went into the mortgage industry. Right when that it did very successfully, but then when the economy turned, so did that whole entire business. So he pivoted, and he went on to write a couple of books and then launch his Stand platform. And this is where Ruben is just, I can't wait for him to share about that and the fact that he's been asked to speak at peace talks throughout the world, and has a tremendous following in what he does with Stand. And we're going to find out more about that. So, hey, Ruben, welcome into the locker room. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, Dave. Thank you for having me on the show and inviting me. Cool. And also Tim as well. It's a blessing to be here. Wake up in the morning, another day of life.
Amen, my brother. Let's go.
So as you folks will get to know Ruben, quadruple fist pumps, right?
That's what baby. That's it.
Man, motivational cat, really fun. So Tim, real quick, your assessment of my intro. How'd I do? Did I get through?
You were on point, my brother. That was A1, as we would say.
Cool. Hey, why don't you start us off, Tim? Ask Ruben our first question.
Yeah, Ruben. So take us through your childhood. Coming up, you were playing sports, but did faith play a role? What was your upbringing?
Yeah, upbringing was in a gang-challenged neighborhood. I'm the youngest of 5. And when I first went to go play baseball, my mom took me to go register, and I was like, I don't want to play. So she brought me back home, and my dad's like, he's not going to be riding the bike around the neighborhood like his older brothers. Take him back. So I was forced into baseball, but I loved it. That was the deciding point. My dad was a Marine, very disciplinary as far as growing up, always living up to his expectations. And being from a faith-based home, we all went to parochial school. My dad worked 2 jobs so he could get us all through private school. And that's not normal in a gang-challenged neighborhood. We just go to regular public school. So it was really instilled. It was instilled at a young age of always have faith. That was my mom. She was the catalyst that kept the family together as far as the spiritual side of it. As far as, God's in control and, have faith and keep us going to church and all, 5 of us little kids, But it was great growing up that way, because I see the role it played in the future of having faith. And at that time, at a young age, I didn't realize it, but growing up through life's challenges that presented themselves, it came in play. A great deal came in play as far as my faith now.
So you played baseball, through high school, as a lot of young people do. But you had dreams. You had dreams of going and going further with it. And we all hear about kids getting drafted out of high school and getting all this money, and and you took the hard road. You said, no, I want to keep playing, and you walked on and was able to continue your career. Talk a little bit about that, about, having the fortitude to have the confidence to do that, and what it looked like for you for a few years.
Right. Yeah. Growing up, I was the fat little kid, always made fun of, hey, Twinkie, you want another one? In fourth grade, and that's where I got the personality as far as the jokester, because I wanted to laugh with me, not at me. And I realized that I was the last one running around when the whole group, the team ran. I was the last one. And so I had that self-esteem issue growing up, and I always wanted that acceptance. And I was very hard on myself as far as, always the last one and not being part of the group. So that going up into sports, I always didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel that I was able to make it, but the coaches saw something different and they're able to make the varsity team, played that a couple of years. And actually I went into welding right out of school because I was like, nah, I'm not going to play sports anymore. Then I was off for a year, and I went and I walked on. It was at Orange Coast College for the Angels, and I didn't make that squad. And that was disappointing. Started dabbling into recreational activity as far as drinking, and what comes with that is the recreational drug using, which it was an escape. I didn't realize it at that time, but it was an escape from reality of being disappointed of not making the squad. So then I walked on to another league, which was the MBBL, the Mike Brito League. He was the scout for Fernando Valenzuela. He was a scout from a lot of people from Mexico. So he had a league, went on there and did really well. Then I started playing in the Pacific League, which we went to Douglas, Arizona, had a squad out there, played out there in Tijuana as well. And in Ensenada, we're playing against pro teams in Mexico. And that went well. And all of a sudden, the Rotator cuff. Check this out. I injured my rotator cuff playing shortstop on a co-ed softball game. Freaking playing the hero, pro ball, hit up the middle, I dive, land on second, my shoulder pops out. Friggin', that's where it all started, on a softball game. And God had this plan. It's like, he's like, you think you're all that, but let me bring you down to reality and humble you. Yeah. So it was at a softball game, and that's where it all started. My shoulder started popping out, so I was playing first. And the rotator cuff, had surgery, detached labrum. So the career ended, and it was 1989. It was 1989 where I said that was it, and still had that recreational type activity where it still lingered. And that's what I would go to change my mindset when I was feeling disappointed, down, depressed, lonely. That was my fix, because it would change my mindset. And which started accumulating more and more over the years, where I realized that it started controlling a lot of things. My life was revolving around that. And once coming out of that, as far as playing, I went back into school, went to Cypress College, got into their Toyota technical education program, and started turning wrenches. Started turning wrenches for Toyota 15 years. I went to Toyota University, became Master Tech, all full-fledged Toyota with ASC, and I did that for 15 years. So switching from baseball, but it's always wanting to fix things. That athlete mentality, it's like, you always better yourself. What's the next step? We won this one. What's the next one? We're not okay with just winning one. What's the next one? And that was that mindset, which is very challenging, because a lot of what I realized through the coaching is an addictive and extreme mentality, which whatever game we're playing into, we're going to do it to the extreme. Either it'll help us or it'll hurt us. And yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point that you bring up, and the sports. The main message that we hear is that if you excel in sports, or you can also take those same aptitudes and excel elsewhere. But there's also things within sports, that competitive nature, that drive, that to be the best, and the extremes, is that we do tend to then push the limits elsewhere. And so that's a very valid point you get that you're making. And one other thing I have to touch on is, as you're talking about growing up and being the chubby kid, I came in last. I couldn't do a push-up I couldn't do a pull-up, and it was very embarrassing. I only went on to bench, 505 pounds. Some people may have said I might have overcompensated a little. But to look at you now, I know you're in the gym every day and look fantastic. Tim is also, he's a San Diego State brother. He's like 8 generations behind me. But hey, are you still thinking about doing the what's that competition? Weren't you training to?
Which one?
The TV competition. What do they call that? The Ninja Warrior?
No.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? I see those guys and I'm like, I would dominate that thing. But no, I'm not. No, I'm not training for that. No.
Oh, I thought you said you were. Well, you should. So, anyways, yeah.
So you worked for a big company like that for 15 years, and you said that you did reach extremes, but the parallels, like you said, Dave, the characteristics that are developed help you succeed. Like you said, you were a master technician, and then you started to transition into the real estate. Did you work for another big corporate company? Were you working for yourself? Take us through that.
Yeah, I started working for a mortgage broker in Costa Mesa. It was in California. And my former wife was a real estate broker. So she would do the real estate side, I would do the mortgage side. So it was a combination of being able to bring a lot of income. So we're double ending deals, and it was the stated days, and we hit the Hispanic market, which being able to speak Spanish, and that area in Orange County flourished, and we're able to generate, it was 7 figures, 1.2, 1.3. After the first year being involved of getting that mindset of always excelling, we're hitting, $500,000 that I was making. It was like $400,000 the first year getting into it.
Wow. And
it wasn't easy, that transition, because I refied our condo to have that money just in case I didn't make it in mortgage. It was like always that cushion, but it just took off, and it was great, but overextended. Bought the toys, bought the houses, bought the trucks, and had 7 homes, and it was crazy. It was sick. It was a dark place, and Jim Carrey said, I wish people could earn $1 million. That way they realize it's not about money. It's not the $1 million. And I didn't realize that. And the great thing that God allowed me to experience was that ability to generate that money, but what comes with it as well if one doesn't manage it. And it was dark because it was my God. It was I could buy anything. I could buy this, I could buy that, and it was certain things that we couldn't get that money can't buy, like a family. We're struggling to do that through different things that happen. But God's always had that reality check of pulling back when, like Nebuchadnezzar, it was like, you didn't get this power. I gave it to you. Right. And just started pulling back, where the industry, in 07, 08, it took a dive where it became, it put me in a real dark place as far as depression, suicide. It was crazy. It was very crazy after being so high. The millionaire, what happened to him? And he's like driving a 93 Previa van after having the Mercedes and the toys and all that. They called it the huevo, the egg, because it was a Previa van. I was like, dun, 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 dun. Air conditioner didn't work, and it's like parking around the corner because I was still coaching, right? And I would park around the corner of the building and walk in with my suit, but the Previa van. It was like, hey, let's go eat at this restaurant. I'll meet you there. I didn't want them to see my car, but it was a wake up call, which was good, humbling.
Yes. Hey, Tim, how many times have we heard this story? Young people or anybody that's watching, I hope you're getting this, because it comes from all different aspects, all different people, but man, it's that rise to what everybody wants. I mean, I remember Ruben, thinking, gosh, if I could only earn $100,000, wouldn't that be great? It wasn't. Well, if I can only earn $250,000 a year, wouldn't that be great? It was more headache, more cars, more monthly obligation. Just like you said, overextend yourself. You start thinking you're all that, and then you start believing. You start thinking you're the one in control. And then you start doing things, to make yourself look better and giving people, but you're doing it for you and your ego. You're not doing it for the right reasons. And man, yeah, God has a way of saying, hey, gee, how about you be a big shot with nothing? And and let's see how big a big shot you are. Let's see what kind of person you really are. And I think that is the theme, is that that could happen. And how do you deal with it? Because this is where we're going to go next, is what you have done once you learned that lesson. How old were you in 07, 08 when you went from what everybody, aspired to be to driving the Previa van? How old were you?
I was 40, 42, I believe, around there. 53 now, so we can do the math back to back.
Yeah, right.
The scholastic part is a little rough, but yeah, it was, and realizing what my God was back then. I used to pastor youth. I mean, I was full-fledged involved in church, and being all caught up into this world of money, and I would say greed is not wanting the money, it's wanting to be better than everybody else and win more money than them. That's what the greed is, not just wanting the money, but it's being better than everybody, and that competitive sport, that mindset. And like I said, it was a sick, dark place. Once stepping out of it and seeing it through the spiritual eyes, once having that reencuentro, or that re-encounter with God, like saying, hey, I was the suicidal position where I was in a hotel room for 5 days, and I was ready to check out. I mean, my marriage was going down. Everything was going down. The houses, the cars were towed away. The electricity was turned off. I mean, it was going through gas stations, putting $10 a quarters through different ones so they don't see me. Oh, here he comes again. And I ready to check out. And like I said, I was in the hotel and ready, in the bathtub. I had a razor blade, and I was ready to just check out after day 5 of a 5-day hiatus. And I heard a voice that says, "It's not your life to take, stand up." And I was like, and it's like, it's not your life to take, stand up. So at that point of standing up, I knew it was something bigger than me, where all of a sudden I got sober really quick, in a way where I was able to comprehend what was going on, that it was God speaking. And once I realized that, and started going back into recovery, as far as putting the relationships back together that I had broken, speaking to the people who I offended, because there was a lot of stuff that happened, under the influence, where, the moral hangover, not the physical hangover. You know what you did? Oh my goodness, man, I can't believe that. And it wasn't me, it was the spirit that dwelled in me from being not in control. It's like, that's all the enemy needs, is a crack, a crevice to get in, and boom. So that's what happened. And being able, that's why my company, Stand Development, I have a foundation that helps the youth in juvenile hall. We help the prisoners. I speak to them on mindset development after being locked up for 5 to 4 years. Stand Development Training, Stand Development Foundations. We just opened a church in Pakistan, 2 Bible schools in Pakistan. Wow. And in Ghana as well. We send up money. I have a foundation, a branch in Ghana, where we sent masks for the COVID, and my schedules go there at the end of the year, because I overcame COVID in March. I had that. I was not even supposed to make it. They already said I wasn't going to make it through the night. 5 days in a coma. I came out of that, or God pulled me through that, allowed me to live. So I feel that's something that he allowed me to do, to go into the other countries, in the trenches, and to go really deliver the message. And that's because when God's in control, it just flows. And when it's us, it's like sticking a square through a circle in those games, and it's just forcing, and it just becomes tired and exhausting when it's our doing. But when it's God's doing, it just goes like when we met, it was like I was doing an interview, and I was like, the whole reason I came here was to meet you. That's what I felt. Because God, what he has set up.
Yeah.
No man.
There's a saying that I love, and if it's not in God's time, you can't force it. But when it's in God's time, you can't stop it.
Right.
And it took me 50 years to figure that out. You know, I wasn't in a bathtub, but I was on a park bench, you know. And I'm
Wow.
sitting there going, you know, I've been benched twice in my life. One was against BYU, and I was getting my rear kicked by a guy, you know, bigger than me. I'm 6'7", 290, and the guy's bigger than me. And my coach grabbed me by the collar after the 4th series and said, "Hey, son," he goes, "Look, you're embarrassing me, you're embarrassing your parents, and you're embarrassing yourself." And I'm thinking, boy, yeah, I knew it wasn't going well, but, you know, and he said, sit this series out and you decide if you want to play. And I sat there and I said, yeah, I've been doing this for 4 years to get on this field. I deserve to be on that field. But in that very same train of thought, within whatever 15 minutes, I had to figure out, well, I can't very well go back out there doing the same thing. Right. So I had to change up entirely what I was doing and put together something that I believe would work, and ended up getting lineman of the game because I started doing some different things. Right. Well, fast forward, you know, 30 some years when I'm on the park bench, and, you know, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I lost all the cars and the house and the business and all of those things, just like you, Ruben. And I'm sitting there, and it was like God saying, son, you're embarrassing me, you're embarrassing your parents, and you're embarrassing yourself. Now, you decide if you want to live the life that I have planned for you. You know, do you want to do this? And I distinctly remember I had a number that I've been carrying for like 3 months of a guy that was willing to help me, but I never called him because I didn't want, you know, I wasn't ready. And I said, okay, God, whatever you have planned for me, I will do. Because obviously what I'm doing now, you know, I can't very well go back to doing the same thing and hoping it's going to work out, you know, where I'm at. You know, so those pivots, those things, listening, and then being willing to admit you were wrong, that you had something to do with it. It wasn't anybody else's fault. You can blame people. You can look at the ex-wife. You can whatever, you know, market changes, you know, well, no, it was, you had something to do with all this. So the sooner you can recognize that, pivot, and give it back to God. You know, it's some of us, it took you in your 40s, me in my 50s, you know, it took us a minute. And so Tim gets to listen to all these stories in his 20s going, well, I ain't going to be you guys.
I'm soaking this wisdom in right now. I'm soaking it in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be you guys.
Right. No, that's great. And that's being the living. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ruben. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, it's just amazing, you know, how God will just stop you in your tracks. And sometimes you got to reach that low point before you can bounce back and, you know, overcome those things and learn those lessons. So it sounds like both of you guys have experienced that, where, you know, sometimes you do got to go to a dark place to realize that the light is the only way out. And that, you know, when God shines his spirit, the Holy Spirit, the same spirit that rose Christ from the dead lives within you, and you start living through that. That's where it happens. Come on.
I can feel it through that one, man.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, excellent receiver.
Not only is he younger and better looking, but he's a smart kid. Is why, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Sharp too. Wow.
Yeah, he brings the value to this show.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, bro.
The full spectrum. There you go. And, you know, we're beaten and weathered, and, you know, rode hard, put away wet. You got Tim over here polished up. You
That's
know,
right.
Bring it in. Come on.
Learning life lessons.
You guys are making me blush. You're making me blush. Cut it out. Cut it out.
But you know, that's what the show's all about, though, too, Ruben. Right? Is putting those stories out there so people can learn those life lessons through people that have done it.
Right.
You know, and if we don't share that story, as dark as it may be, or as embarrassing as it may be that we fell to that, if we don't share that story, then why did we go through it? You know, by us sharing it, by us, you know, being humble and putting our pride down and saying, you know, man, I really goofed up. And here's why I goofed up. Don't fall prey to that. You know, so then when somebody else is starting to stumble, they're going to say, man, I don't want to be those cats. I don't want to be in a bathtub. I don't want to be on a park bench. I don't want to lose everything. I'm going to wise up now and listen, you know? So hopefully that's the message. Hey, tell us a little bit about all the great stuff you're doing with Scanned, because that's a whole new, I mean, we have probably about, you know, 5-10 minutes, but
okay,
about what you're doing and internationally and the United Nations and all this stuff you're doing for peace. You know, I mean, you're doing cool stuff, bro.
Yeah, it's when the pandemic started, because I do a lot of motivational seminars for Harbecker. He has a book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. So it's a 3-day event. We did it internationally, did it in London, did my stuff in Poland, London, as far as doing speaking. But what my foundation is doing is helping with the youth. And I was invited to speak at the UN as far as how I'm bringing peace to the world. And when I spoke, it's like opening these youth to have a relationship with God, but not going in there with the spiritual card. It's the mindset card, but opening them up when they say, what did you do? And once they ask that, then I'm open to share, well, I started a relationship with God. So that's the approach. And I shared that at the UN. And then we have a peace summit with HWPL as a nonprofit in Korea, which we had the events over there. There's 200,000 people at Seoul Olympic Stadium. I mean, it's people from all over the world, dignitary leaders. We all come together, and I represented the U.S. as in Christianity, because we have different religions, different beliefs. So that was a blessing as well of what the foundation is doing. And like I said, Pakistan, Ghana, and we're now with the mindset with NLP, because I do what Tony Robbins does. The same company that promotes Tony Robbins, Success Resources, is the ones that are promoting us as well when we're doing events. So with Les Brown, Robert Kiyosaki. So it's at that level. But the great thing is being able to deliver that information to the people who can't afford it. Because I'm going to treatment centers like in Arizona, where we're going to go bring the NLP principles of how the conscious, subconscious mind work, how they communicate, why we hold on to the baggage, and how we could eliminate and delete those old beliefs that are limiting us from getting forward in life and becoming successful at being clean and leaving that baggage behind, and deleting the trash we carry here and emptying the recycle bin. Sometimes we delete, but they're still there.
Right.
And once the trigger hits, then we go back to that old emotion and beliefs. But once we could eliminate that through NLP and guided meditation, we could help others that have been struggling for so long and realize all it is a belief. Either you can or you can't. And when we play victim of living that effect of other people's behavior, we're giving our place of power away. We're giving our place of power when it says, oh, the market went down. Oh, they always treat me that way. One allows people to treat them the way they need to be treated. Right. We're the gatekeeper to our life. We have a key to the gate to our life. And who are we giving that key to? Oh, here's a key. Here's a key. Are we just giving the keys away and let everybody in? No. It's taking ownership, setting boundaries, and we're showing the individuals here at these treatment centers and where we speak at as far as taking ownership of their life and having that place of power, setting boundaries, enforcing that, and reclaim their lives. So we're doing that into people in recovery where, coming from experience, because like Harv says, you can read about it, hear about it, talk about it, but if you haven't lived it, you don't really know it. And these individuals really know if you're blowing smoke or if you're not.
Yeah, Tim, Ruben and I, we talked for quite a bit, and it's one of those things where it just started going all these different directions. He started sharing, yes, I'm like, boy, I'm on board, bro. People do know if you're reading a book or it's coming from a book or something that you studied or if you've lived it. And when you start talking in their vernacular and you're like, man, yeah, I did that. Then they know, all right, this cat knows where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I want to get to where he is. So they're going to listen, So, hey, man, I don't know, Tim, I think we say this with every guest. We could do 2 shows with this guy,
100%,
easily.
100%.
So Ruben, why don't you tell folks like where they can find you on Stan? It's gonna be on the links, but tell people where the best place to find you, and then Tim, share where folks can find us and all of our different social media, please.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Ruben Mata, on Instagram, Ruben Mata 111. StanWithRuben.com is my website, StanWithRuben.com. And I have an online course, which is called Empowering Mindset. And it's five trainings, which has a PDF download as far as empowering mindset, of allowing your mind to have, to set up a navigation system for where you want to go, what success is to you. And they can go to empoweringmindsetnow.com, empoweringmindsetnow.com. It's an online course. Once you register, it's lifelong. You download the material. You can even use that for your team. I give you full access to the material. there's just use it to empower others. That's the whole thing, because God says you're not going to take it with you, so leave it all on the mat. And I'm an open book. And if people are struggling, suicide, anything, depression, reach out to me, please. Facebook me, private message me, whatever you want. It's all, nobody's going to know. Nobody will know. I'm open to support you. If you're thinking about it, if you're in it, like it says, you're either going through one, you're going to go through one, or you're coming out of one. So whichever place you're at, I'm here to help you. Just remember that, because God's given me the ability to live another day of life.
Quadruple fist pump.
Come
right?
on, baby.
Yeah. Tim, where can they find us?
Yeah, follow us at Mission Sports Network on Instagram and on Facebook, guys. We're at Mission Sports TV on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Comment on this page, on this episode here. Comment. We want to hear from you guys. This is an open dialogue. We're all on this journey together on our own mission. So let's together we accomplish more. So let's get after it.
Yep. Hey, Ruben, a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Ruben.
I am looking forward to all the cool stuff that you and I we have coming down the pike, you know, and making a difference together.
Okay,
right?
Let's make it happen. Yeah.
It sounds good. All right, folks. Well, that's another episode on The Locker Room. Thanks for joining us. Be good people and be good teammates. We'll see you next week.